In this episode, we'll explore the question, can you trust your inner guidance? Say you're trying to make a big life decision, like you have an opportunity to take a great new job that involves moving to a new country. There's a variety of perspectives on the situation: practical, logical, emotional, physical, spiritual, etc. You're all excited, ready to commit, when you suddenly get a gut instinct about it that doesn't make logical sense. Don't go. Or you use a divination tool and get a no about going, or some people get a vision of things not going well. People receive these downloads in different ways. How do you then make a decision? Some people operate their entire lives from this inner guidance. It can be helpful to avoid negative situations, but there are also times when it can guide you in the right direction. In fact, there are those throughout history who've said they've accomplished great things because of inner guidance, whether they call it instinct, inspiration, God, angels, ETs, whatever. From their perspective, it's almost always a great thing, whether it's writing a novel, think Charles Dickens, creating a new invention like Tesla. And from some people's perspective, it was a great thing, and from others, maybe it wasn't such a great thing, and everything in between. Now, most people want to make good decisions and make a difference with their choices and offerings in the world, but how do you know if this inner guidance is a trustworthy source? Like anything, it takes practice just to get connected to a good source, and takes even more practice to wisely discern with what you get. So let's look at connecting to a trusted source, and for the sake of argument, let's just call it intuition, like a direct line to higher wisdom, a bridge between the physical world and the higher dimensions of consciousness, like a direct line to higher wisdom, a bridge between the physical world and the higher dimensions of consciousness. Some call it the 5D Earth, or Eartha, the true reality, the realm of the soul and beyond. So how do you tap into and trust this intuition, and how do you differentiate that from your ego, past conditioning, hyperdimensional interference, or other malevolent or unhelpful interference? Because to do so allows you to truly live from a place of deep inner knowing, giving you a confidence and certainty that most people seem to lack these days. By building this trusted source of inner guidance, you can unlock not only your personal ascension, but step more fully into your soul mission and manifesting the life you're destined to live. So what is intuition really? In spiritual terms, intuition might be called your soul's voice, your higher self communicating with you through subtle nudges, feelings, visions, words, whatever form the download comes in. It may come to you in a variety of ways depending on your learning style. For more about this, check out the TAVIS manifestation personality styles in the link in the description. TAVIS stands for tangent or a kinesthetic manifester through the body, a crevant or a read-write manifester, voyant or a visual manifester, audient or an auditory manifester, and sentient or an emotional manifester. So you have a dominant way of connecting to your intuition and getting downloads depending on how you learn anything, like how you learned in school. And it's similar to how you receive information through extrasensory perceptions as opposed to just the sensory. So intuition is different from logic because logic stems from the left brain and the ego, whereas intuition comes from the right brain, which is more connected to the heart and the soul, therefore from higher realms of consciousness. You need both logic, rationality, and intuition, heart, to thrive and survive in the world, obviously. The problem comes when you're locked into only logic or only heart. Far more people are locked into only logic, the rational mind, in Western societies, and so they cut themselves off from deeper wisdom and how to navigate the complexities of life. But you can also undermine yourself by only being in the intuitive, heart-centered place. Sometimes you can get yourself in trouble because you're not paying attention to practical realities. In metaphysical terms, intuition is connected to the non-physical dimensions of reality, sometimes called the quantum field or the energetic web that connects all of life. It's the same field where manifestation happens and where the law of attraction operates that we've heard so much about. The more you align with this energetic flow, the clearer your intuition becomes and the more easily you can manifest things. That said, manifestation isn't as simple as seeing $1 million in your bank and voila. There are many conflicting theories on this, but I believe manifestation is part free will and part soul contract, what you came here to learn. So if $1 million in the bank will help you learn your soul lessons, it will be easier to manifest. But if that manifestation will take you farther away from your soul mission, it might remain elusive. At any rate, ancient and more recent cultures understood the power of intuition to help people through the complexities of life. Like in mythology, the Oracle of Delphi in ancient Greece was revered for her ability to tap into divine wisdom. In fact, in all cultures, all through history, you find soothsayers, fortune tellers, spiritualists, visionaries, forecasters, futurists. These archetypes reflect humanity's timeless need to connect with the unseen realms, to tap into higher guidance to better make decisions, right? Now, you don't need to be an oracle or a mystic from ancient times to access this. You have the ability already, and you might already use it, but most of us could probably get even better at it. Now, let's talk about the shift many of us are experiencing right now, this transition to what some people call the 5D Earth. I like to call it Eartha, as in the real Earth, and this one's just kind of a dumbed-down version. So the fifth dimension, or 5D as some call it, is a state of higher consciousness where we transcend the duality and separation, embracing a life that embodies more unity, love, and harmony. It's a dimension where intuition and heart-centered living are the norm, as opposed to this reality. And as you spiritually awaken and ascend into these higher dimensions, your intuition naturally strengthens, and the veil between the physical world and the metaphysical becomes thinner, and you'll find yourself receiving clearer and more frequent inner guidance. Some people refer to this dimension as the true reality, whereas this dimension is the false one. It's the virtual world, the dumbed-down simulation of a much more real world. It's like we're pilots practicing on a simulator here, learning intense lessons in an environment where a crash has milder consequences than in the higher 5D reality. There's a notion that we came from the 5D reality and it's the real world, and this reality is simply, as I said, a simulation for learning purposes. After we're done here, we go back to 5D, debrief lessons learned, like a post-simulation analysis. What went well? What didn't go well? What could I do better next time? So back in the so-called real reality, we are far more used to living in the flow or aligning with our soul mission. Manifestation happens far more quickly and effortlessly because we're operating from this higher frequency where synchronicity and intuition guide the way. So if you're feeling called to live in that way, or at least learn more about it, it might be a sign you're ready for ascension, or inscension, as some call it, going back to the true self and your true life in the real world. It's the idea that once you're out of this simulation and back in the real world, these intuitive skills are just normal. That's how everyone operates. It's not something weird or woo-woo to keep hidden if you want to be accepted in normal society. Instead, it is normal society. So how do you develop your intuition or take it to that next level of refinement and hone it in a way that it becomes your most trusted compass in life? Well, the first one is just to quiet the mind. As you've probably heard before, intuition doesn't shout, it whispers. In our fast-paced, noisy world, it can be difficult to hear that inner voice. The simulation is noisy on purpose so we can build the muscle of returning to the still, small voice regardless of what's trying to distract you. If you think of most of the ways people dull this ability to hear it, they are the norms of this simulated reality. Social media, TV shows, movies, computer, relationship dramas, social obligations, drinking, drugs, junk food, filling your day with endless chores, most of which may not really be necessary, not nourishing your body, mind, soul system the way you could. So you're consumed with illness or imbalances of some kind. So the opposite would be simple, healthful living, good boundaries around where you put your attention. Time for reflection, fresh air, nature, meditation, movement, breath work, relaxing music, anything that calms the body, mind, soul system and manifests peacefulness. That's what invites the still, small voice. So anything you do in your life that creates peace, go for that. Different things work for different people. When you get into that naturally manifested peaceful state, you're creating a direct link between your conscious mind and your higher self, the part of you that exists in higher dimensions, or this true self outside of the simulation. Habits to regularly connect to that state help you strengthen this link and allows intuitive messages to come through more clearly. It's a relationship that requires regular attention, like any relationship, like a marriage, if you want it to be rewarding. Now, intuition is often the very first thought, feeling, or sensation that comes up before our logical mind has a chance to analyze it. It's quick, subtle, and often fleeting. And I often find it comes from the peripheral, from behind me, instead of from focused forward concentration. And when developing your intuition, practice trusting that first impression, even if it doesn't make logical sense at the time. Because over time, you'll learn to distinguish between the intuitive voice of your higher self and that fearful voice of the ego or some other kind of hyperdimensional interference. Some ways to tell the difference is how that thought makes you feel emotionally and physically. When it's truly the higher self, like a trusted, wise source, there's an energized, vibrant, inspired feeling associated with it, as opposed to a heavy, fatiguing, uninspired feeling. That said, there are times when a hyperdimensional, malevolent interference will try to pose as the higher self, producing these feelings, so you need to double check. More about that later. So the third is tune into your body's wisdom. Your body is a finely tuned instrument of intuition, and many people experience intuitive hits as physical sensation, a feeling in the gut, a tingling in the hands, or a flutter in the heart. Pay attention to how your body reacts when you're making decisions. Does it feel light, expansive, or heavy and contracted? These are subtle signals from your intuition. Of course, many aspects of modern life in this simulated reality seek to disconnect people from their body so they don't have access to this wisdom. Again, it's just to build that muscle, that strength. So don't let those get in your way, like avoiding moving your body or numbing out the signals from your body through addictive substances or activities. So number 4 is ask for guidance. So just try asking this inner guidance for help to get better connected to it. The moment you ask, the universe begins to conspire to bring you the answers. This is where the law of attraction comes into play. By asking for guidance regularly and setting this intention to receive intuitive insights, you're aligning your energy with the answers you seek. Most people don't take regular time out of their day to do that, but if you made that a habit regularly, you would find it starts coming more and more throughout the day. So you might receive messages also in the form of dreams at night, synchronicities. Number 5, keep a journal. A great way to track and develop your intuition and build your confidence is by keeping a journal of your intuitive hits and then rereading them later to see whether you were right or not. And when you see that often your intuition was right, it gives you a sense of certainty and confidence to keep going with it. So yeah, just write down any gut feelings, visions, inner guidance, inner nudges, and over time you'll start to see patterns and you'll start to see how to do it in a better and better way. So number 6 is work with divination tools. If you're drawn to metaphysical practices, you can enhance your intuition by working with divination tools, for example, tarot cards, pendulum, astrology, runes. There's all kinds of them out there. These tools may not give you a specific answer per se, although a pendulum can at times, but they help you tap into your own intuitive wisdom or archetypal energies at play by giving you visuals or symbolic representations of what your higher self is trying to tell you. For more information on using a pendulum, you can check out episode 31 called Pendulum Mastery. Now, one of the most common questions I get is, how do I know if it's my intuition or just my mind playing tricks on me or something else? So it's an important distinction to make, especially when you're starting out tuning into your higher guidance. So here's the key. Intuition is calm, clear, grounded, neutral. There's a sense of congruence and alignment. It is a feeling in the body most often, so that's why it's important to stay connected physically in that way. It doesn't carry a sense of urgency, fear, or anxiety. If the voice you're hearing feels pressured, panicked, fearful, that's likely your ego speaking or past conditioning. Also, if it makes you excitable, ungrounded, heady, that could be a sign it's a false source, like a hyperdimensional interference. True, benevolent, trusted intuition, on the other hand, often feels peaceful and matter of fact. It simply is. There's a sense of rightness that doesn't need to be justified by logic. It may not always make sense to your rational mind, but there's an underlying sense of nurturing, trustworthy support. The ego, which operates from the third dimensional perspective, this simulated reality, is driven by fear, separation, and scarcity. It's the voice that tells you to stay small, or it'll tell you what you want to hear instead of what's really going on. So the more you raise your vibration and operate from the 5D consciousness, the quieter the ego becomes and the louder your intuition will speak. Conversely, it's important to root out the false hyperdimensional interference that can make you believe something is a good choice when it's not. It's often feeding the false self or the wounded ego that feels unworthy, inadequate, or powerless in some way. It promises that this path will finally give you the worth, adequacy, and power you've craved, when in truth it will only lead to the opposite of that. So think of people who've gotten lost in a cultish group mind that compels them to act in ways that they later regret. In the higher dimensions, you already know deep within you that you're worthy enough, adequate enough, and powerful enough, so you don't need to chase those things. So once you've developed your intuition, the next step is to align it with your soul mission. Now, many of us are here right now as part of this great awakening, helping to raise the collective consciousness and return us back to this real world. But to fulfill this mission, you must first align with your own highest path, soul mission. And this is where the magic happens. When you are connected to this higher intuition, your soul mission starts to become clear. Things feel more purposeful, aligned, and fulfilling as you get clear on what that mission is. Intuition becomes your compass, guiding you step by step, even if you don't know the whole thing right up front, but you're moving slowly towards it, and often you only really see your soul mission in retrospect, but you feel like you're working towards something that's calling on your highest potential. You begin to manifest the life you've always dreamed of because you're working in harmony with the universe, not against it. And often that life and lifestyle looks very different from what you were taught equals success, just as a side note. And another little secret is your soul mission is not something you have to figure out. It's already within you. Intuition will lead you to uncover it one step at a time, as long as you're open and listen, keep an open mind. So when you live a life guided by intuition, you're no longer reliant on external validation or approval or authorities. You move through life with a sense of inner peace and confidence, knowing that you're always being guided by this higher trusted intelligence, whether you call it source, the universe, your higher self, God, whatever feels right for you. This is the essence of spiritual awakening. It's not about gaining psychic abilities for the sake of power and control. People talk about black magic, gray magic, white magic. It's like the intention behind the magic, behind the psychic abilities. What are you using it for is what defines the color associated with it. Are you using it to serve your highest truth and contributing to the collective ascension or not? So you'll find that the more you trust your intuition, the more it will grow. Intuition is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. And before you know it, you'll be living more often in the state of flow where every decision, every step, every moment feels aligned with your higher purpose, the soul mission. So before we wrap up today, I just want to leave you with this thought, that trusting your inner guidance is one of the most powerful things you can do in your life. It will change everything for the better. When you do, you're not just gaining insight, you're reconnecting with the deepest part of yourself, the part that is infinite, eternal, and one with the universe, the one that you'll be returning to. So the decisions you make, the opportunities you attract, the people, the situation that life brings, all become so much better and aligned. Remember, you are a divine being having a human experience. Your intuition is the voice of that divine aspect of yourself. So by developing a trusting relationship, you're stepping into your true power and embracing your role in the Great Awakening. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this topic, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with others who are on the journey of spiritual awakening, ascension, personal growth. And as always, feel free to reach out with any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in future episodes. Until next time, this is the Golden Age Timeline Podcast.